How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to On the Ball. Welcome back to another round of Premier League predictions as the festive period continues. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone out there. And you know the way it works by now. It's 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result, and that star man. Once you pick that man, you can't pick them again for the rest of the season. And it's 5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist. And I think the score's on the doors. I think I'm leading about by 5, something around that figure. Oh, there we go. Less than 5. I just took a point off you. 153 to Sim, 157 to myself. And we start off at the Etihad. It's Manchester City against Everton. Sim's gone from 1-0 to City.
I have Man City not in great form, as we all know. Everton have 4 0-0s in their past 6 games, 2 back-to-back 0-0s against Arsenal and Chelsea. So doing exceptionally well. Interestingly, Man City didn't play Kevin De Bruyne at all on the weekend, despite him being in the squad. I do think that is with a view of him playing a significant part in this game. He's such a big player for them. I'd back him to find a moment of magic to get City a goal. I think Everton are going to try and go for another 0-0. They're going to try and attack City on the counter-attack. I'm sure they'll get some joy, but they're still, I don't know, 4 players. Are they going to get the goals that they need to, that other teams like Bournemouth and Brighton have, and Villa recently have gotten to get the goals and the wins? I don't think so. And I just feel like Man City, I know they're on a bad one, but they'll just sneak it in this time. A De Bruyne, cross, Haaland, header, 1-0 City.
Yeah, I've gone for 0-0. I'm looking at Everton's past away games. Yeah, they did get battered 4-0 at Old Trafford, but sandwiched in between a 0-0 at the Emirates and a 0-0 at the London Stadium. And I feel with the way Man City are playing at the moment, they're just not looking great as an attacking force. And I feel like Everton will stifle them. But I feel that Everton might not be able to do anything going the other way as well. I was toying with a 1-0 Everton win, to be honest, but I just settled on a 0-0.
They beat Forest 3-0 City, though, not so long ago.
It's true, they did. But, I mean, that was like kind of the outlier, though, wasn't it? Because every other game they've been shocking.
The key thing is De Bruyne was playing well in that game.
True. Well, we'll see what happens. Sim's going 1-0, I'm going 0-0. If De Bruyne is playing well, then it probably will be more than 1-0.
True.
That's the reality. Next up is Bournemouth against Crystal Palace. Sim's gone for 2-2. I've gone for 1-1. Palace was seeming to really going in the right direction, but this Arsenal doubleheader in the Cup and the League have really strayed them a bit off path, but I think they'll get back to basics and back at it at the Vitality. Bournemouth, they're very strong at home, but I feel like it's these kind of games they can slip up against like the middle of the road teams, so I've gone for 1-1.
Yeah, I went for 2-2. I think Bournemouth, such an energetic team, on great form, but I feel like Palace, with how they set up, the 3 at the back and 3 physical centre-backs, very combative midfield as well. I don't know if Eze is going to be back for this game, but if he is, he brings that X factor as well into their team. I think it's going to be a tough game for both sides. I think Palace will counter-attack well. I think Mateta's in decent form. But I think Bournemouth, with the high pressing, I think they're going to force Palace into some mistakes as well. So I went for a 2-2 draw.
West London derby, Chelsea against Fulham at Stamford Bridge. Both of us gone for the exact same scoreline here in 2-1.
Yeah, I was toying with 1-1 for Fulham because Fulham have got a great record.
1-1 to Fulham.
1-1, I guess, yeah. 1-1 to Fulham, yeah. What's it called? Because they drew recently with Spurs. They drew with Arsenal. And they drew with Liverpool. So some really good results they've had against some good teams in recent weeks. Disappointing result, though, against Southampton on the weekend. And I don't know if that negativity will seep into this game. And I'm sure they'll keep it tight. They'll try and stifle Chelsea. But Chelsea, with Cole Palmer in the form that he's been in this season, have just got the tools to pick the lock. I know they drew 0-0 away at Goodison, but I think at home comforts. I think it'll be a difficult game for them. I just envisage a late winner here for Chelsea and just to sneak it 2-1.
Yeah, Chelsea have been on firing form, especially at home. I think they've lost 1 game at home all season to Man City, which was the first game of the Premier League, Maresca's first game. But since then, they've won every game bar 2, where they drew against Nottingham Forest and they drew against Arsenal. I feel like Fulham will come into it, with the ambitions that they can do something, and it will be a tight game. But I think quality will shine through with the likes of the players that you're talking about. Star-studded front line for Chelsea, so 2-1 to Chelsea. Newcastle against against Aston Villa up next. Again, we've gone for the exact same scoreline, 3-1 to Newcastle. Villa, an uptick in form in recent weeks, but I feel like at St James's Park, which is a really hard place to go for anyone, Newcastle will treat this as a really big game because, you know, they've got similar ambitions for the league campaign this season. And Newcastle firing on all cylinders, back-to-back 4-0 wins. And Isaac and Jacob Murphy and Gordon, all these guys are on firing form at the moment. So I back Newcastle to do the business 3-1.
Yeah, and I feel like Villa got a brilliant win against Man City on the weekend, but they're still going to go into this game they sometimes away from home play a bit of a high line, and I think Newcastle with the likes of Gordon and Isaac have real good threats to combat that. Also, I think one advantage Villa always have against a lot of teams is their physicality in the middle with Onana and maybe Kamara, Joel, and Rodgers, and Tielemans with good passing ability. But I think Newcastle actually have a good midfield trio to combat that. Tonali, Guimarães, Joe Linton in their midfield three. So I do think aggressively they'll have that physicality to get on top of them. They'll have the runners in behind. I think Villa are going to struggle in this one. So I went for 3-1 to Newcastle.
Nottingham Forest against Tottenham Hotspur. Again, we've gone for the exact same scoreline here in 2-2. Spurs with an embarrassing defeat at home to Liverpool last time out, 6-3. Nottingham Forest, on the other hand, are on flying form in fourth in the league, overtaking Man City not long ago. So I think Forest were coming into this with a lot of confidence. And I feel that Tottenham will be taking the game to Forest, but I feel like with the defensive frailties that Spurs have, Archie Gray, Dragusin at the back, I'm not sure who's going to play fullbacks, but I'm assuming it will be Spence and Udogie if Udogie is fit enough to play. That should give us a bit more steel in there with Udogie and Porro sitting out for this one, and Bentancur back in the team. So I think there'll be a bit of a freshness about Spurs with the players coming in, but I think Forest are going to pick us off on the counter. So I've gone for 2-2.
Yeah, also for 2-2. Obviously, depends, I think, for me, a lot on who's available for Spurs, who's maybe potentially back from injury, how can they freshen up the team. But I think Forest in great form. They're going to come into this game looking to get one over on Tottenham. Nuno is going to come into this game against his old employers who sacked him after 10 games. And they're a tough nut to crack. We know that. They're really hard to beat, and they've got the likes of Elanga, Hudson-Odoi, Chris Wood in firing form as well. So if Tottenham have got the same defensive frailties as they did on the weekend, I can see Forest getting some joy. But we still know how to score goals. We still got talent in the forward line. We still are capable of breaking down this Forest side. We still showed that we're capable of creating chances even with the depleted team. So I think Spurs will get a couple of goals as well. Bentancur should be back. Hopefully a bit of freshness compared to the weekend. So gone for a 2-2 draw.
Southampton against West Ham at St Mary's. Sim's gone for 2-0 to West Ham.
Yeah, you sound surprised.
Yeah, I am surprised.
Yeah, I know Southampton got their draw and on the weekend, and they're looking for a new manager. But I still think West Ham have got too much talent for them. Lopetegui has got some improved performances in recent weeks after looking very, very precarious in his job. And I think going to St Mary's with the likes of Bowen, Kudus in their team, I think they're just going to have a bit too much for this Southampton team. So 2-0. Yeah,
as much as, results have turned a bit with 2 draws and a win in the last 3 games, I'm just not convinced about West Ham. With the talent that they do have is undoubted, but they just can't seem to get the best out of those players. Southampton, since sacking their manager, they got a real credible draw at Fulham, 0-0, and I feel like they could stifle West Ham here a bit as well, and 1-1 I've gone for. Next up, what have we got for? We got Wolves against Manchester United. Again, we've gone for the same. We've gone for a draw, but not the same scoreline. I've gone for 2-2. Sim's gone for 1-1. And I feel like Wolves, maybe a bit of new energy about the team. 3-0 win after sacking Gary O'Neill. And Manchester United, obviously, a bit of a horror show at the moment. 3-0 loss at home to Bournemouth. But I feel like Wolves have conceded bucket loads of goals this season. Yes, they did keep a clean sheet, but I feel United do have a bit of talent going forward with the likes of Bruno Fernandes. Højlund's got on the score sheet recently. Amad Diallo has been probably their best player this season. So I think both teams can hurt each other, and I couldn't pick a winner.
Yeah, buoyed off the 3-0 win against Leicester. I think Wolves are coming to this in confident mood, and it's going to be interesting to see how Pereira, the new manager, approaches this game, knowing how Wolves have played under Gary O'Neill, quite pragmatic and looking to counter-attack, but they won 3-0 in their first game. I think Amorim is still sorting things out at Man United, and clearly he's struggling to get consistent performances out of his team, and I think this is going to be a tough game for Man United going to the Molineux up against a buoyant Wolves team. So I think I'm going to struggle, and I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw.
Liverpool against Leicester. They seem to be the whipping boys since Ruud van Nistelrooy's joined. I've gone for 5-0. Sim's gone for 4-1.
Yeah, I think I went for Leicester to get a goal, but because it looks like Ruud van Nistelrooy is looking to get Leicester more on the front foot going forward, but at the moment he's leaving the back door wide open, and they've conceded over 100 shots since he's taken charge of Leicester City 4 games ago. And as much as they got a couple of results early on, even albeit I think a couple of them were lucky, results have reverted back to how they were under Steve Cooper, and he's got a big job on his hands to keep Leicester in the Premier League. Obviously Liverpool in rampant mood off the back of a 6-3 win against Spurs on the weekend. They also have the luxury if they could change it, they could bring in Jota and Nunes and keep things fresh in this game if they want to. So I think they will do that, and obviously they're leading the league at the moment. They want to extend that, so I went for 4-1 to Liverpool.
Yeah, I've gone for 5-0. I can't see anything but a resounding Liverpool win here. 6 goals at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and I don't expect the goals to stop. With Leicester at home, it's probably a great opposition for them right now, and I think the goals will flow at Anfield, and I can't see Leicester doing anything, so I've gone for 5-0 to Liverpool. Next up is Brighton against Brentford in a very interesting clash. Brighton not on the greatest form at the moment. Brentford just lost their first home game of the season, and then with their away form being terrible, that's not what they want to see, a loss at home. And I feel Brighton will get back to winning ways against a Brentford side who haven't won away from home all season. I feel like it's been poor from Brighton, but I think they'll be back at it in this one.
See, I feel like they just got their first defeat at home, so it's time to get their first win away, and that'll be classic Brentford.
Going for the symmetry.
Exactly. Thomas Frank knows how to set up against this Brighton team. He can get good results at the Amex. They've got quite good results, I think, over the past few years. So I think the way they set up, very organised, always going for those efficient chances in the final third up against a Brighton team. We're going to keep possession, going to try and break down this Brentford team. I think the likes of Mbeumo and Whistle will be licking their lips in this game, to be honest, on the breakaway, and they can be a very solid side as well. So it's going to be a difficult game for both teams, but I've gone for Brentford to take it 2-1.
And last but not least is Arsenal against Ipswich. Bukayo Saka-less Arsenal against Ipswich. We've both gone for 2-0 to Arsenal. And I just feel that even without Bukayo Saka, this should be a routine 3 points for Arsenal. Probably one of the games that they would want as first up without Bukayo. And look, they got enough firepower to get over the line. Jesus on good form. They got Trossard there. They've got Martinelli there, who's got in the goals in recent weeks. And Ipswich just seem to be not at the races at the moment. So 2-0 to Arsenal.
Yeah, I feel the same. I think it's quite a nice game to come up against your first game without Saka, a confidence boosting game just to get a win and a few points while to get used to not having a talisman around, I think. And Ipswich in dire form at the moment. Still, I think, 2 wins so far this season for them. I can't see them holding Arsenal out even without Saka, so I went for 2-0 to Arsenal.
And the star men shootout this time for Liverpool. And you know what that means? Usually when we pick a star man from the same team, that team uses the curse. They usually
Put your money on
draw.
Leicester. Put your money on Leicester.
Basically, Liverpool ain't getting a goal, even though we've predicted 4 and 5. But Sim's gone for Luis Diaz, who scored 2 goals at the weekend. And
It was his first goal since September, unbelievably.
Who, Diaz?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I've gone for Diogo Jota. Obviously, just come back from injury. He's had 2 sub appearances, so I think with the games coming thick and fast for Liverpool, he's in line for a start on Thursday. So it's going to be an interesting one.
All right.
Yeah, it could be a bit of slot roulette here.
Yeah,
the slots.
he could change it. I'm just banking on the fact that after 2 goals for the first time in a while that he scored, he's going to want to keep that momentum. So I think he's going to start him again.
All right, well, there you have it. That is our Prem predictions going into Boxing Day. Let us know your predictions in the comments section below, and we'll see you next time.